Hello everyone, welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to have you here. Today we're going to explore the fascinating world of plants. The title of our session is Getting to Know Plants. We'll look at how plants grow, what makes them unique, and why they are so important to us. In the next few slides, we'll cover the basics and some interesting facts. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the contents of today's presentation. We will start by understanding that plants grow all around us, which is something we often take for granted. Then, we'll explore how plants can be classified based on their size and the nature of their stems. You'll see that plants are different from herbs, shrubs, and trees, which is an important distinction. Next, we'll discuss the different types of root systems and how roots can be modified to store food or provide extra support. Moving on, we'll look at the stem, including how stems are modified to make food or give support. We'll also examine the different types of leaf venation and how leaves can be modified to give support or even turn into spines. Further along, we'll cover the various flowering plants and how pollination occurs in flowers. We will identify the plant systems, such as the shoot and root systems, and understand their roles. The presentation will also highlight how roots and stems can be modified for different functions like storing food or giving extra support. Finally, we'll see that leaves can be modified for support or protection, and we will conclude with a thank you. Throughout this presentation, our goal is to understand the fascinating ways plants are structured and adapted to their environments, linking each point to the larger picture of plant classification and function. Plants grow all around us, and it's really fascinating to think about just how many different types there are. In fact, there are approximately 250,000 known plant species. That's a staggering number, showing just how diverse and rich plant life is on our planet. This diversity plays a crucial role in supporting ecosystems, providing us with food, medicine, and even oxygen. As we explore the importance of plants today, keep in mind that their variety is a testament to their adaptability and their vital role in life on Earth. Let's take a closer look at the classification of plants. First, we have the broad category simply called plants, which includes all the different types we find in nature. Within this group, we can divide plants into two main categories: flowering plants and non-flowering plants. Flowering plants are perhaps the most familiar to us because they produce flowers, which are often colorful and attract pollinators. They also produce seeds enclosed in fruits, which helps with seed dispersal and plant reproduction. On the other hand, non-flowering plants do not produce flowers. Instead, they reproduce using other methods, such as spores or cones. Examples of non-flowering plants include ferns, mosses, and conifers like pine trees. Understanding these classifications helps us see the diversity among plants and how they adapt to different environments. It's a fundamental step in studying botany and appreciating the complexity of plant life on Earth. Now let's take a closer look at flowering plants. These are plants that actually produce flowers, which is a key characteristic that sets them apart. Flowers are not just beautiful, they play an important role in reproduction. Some common examples include roses, which are known for their lovely scent and vibrant colors. Then we have tulips, which are especially popular in spring and come in many different shades. And of course, sunflowers, recognized for their large, bright yellow heads that turn to follow the sun. These plants are a great example of how flowering plants contribute both to nature's beauty and to the process of pollination. Understanding flowering plants helps us appreciate the diversity and complexity of plant life and how they fit into the larger picture of the plant kingdom. Now let's take a look at non-flowering plants. These are plants that, as the name suggests, do not produce flowers. Instead of flowers, they have other ways of reproducing and thriving. Some common examples include ferns, pines, and mosses. Ferns are fascinating because they reproduce via spores and have that lush, green frond structure. Pines, on the other hand, are conifers, meaning they produce seeds within cones rather than flowers. And mosses are small, non-vascular plants that often grow in damp environments. Understanding these non-flowering plants helps us see the diversity of plant life and how different species have adapted to their environments, which ties into the overall theme of plant evolution and adaptation. Let's take a closer look at how plants are classified based on their size and the nature of their stems. As you can see on this slide, we start with the broadest categories. First, we have trees, which are typically large woody plants with a single tall stem or trunk. Then there are shrubs, which are smaller than trees but still woody, usually with multiple stems. Moving down in size, we come to herbs, which are non-woody plants that tend to have softer, greener stems. Lastly, we have plants that don't quite fit into these categories, but understanding these main groups helps us appreciate the diversity in plant structures. This classification is fundamental because it connects to how plants grow, adapt, and their roles in the environment. Recognizing these categories allows us to better understand their functions and importance in nature. Now let's take a closer look at herbs. These are generally very small plants, usually less than 1 meter high. Some common examples include wheat and mint. When we observe their stems, they tend to be green and have few branches, giving them a simple, delicate appearance. Herbs are quite different from grasses, even though they might look similar at a glance. Their size and stem characteristics really set them apart. Recognizing these features helps us better understand their role in ecosystems and their uses in cooking, medicine, and other applications. Understanding these small, yet significant plants ties into the overall theme of plant diversity and adaptation, showing how different types of plants have evolved unique structures to thrive in their environments. Now let's take a look at shrubs. Typically, shrubs are considered medium-sized plants, usually growing between 1 to 3 meters in height. They are an essential part of many landscapes because of their versatility and beauty. When we talk about specific examples, some common shrubs include lemon and pomegranate. These are not only attractive, but also produce valuable fruits. In terms of their structure, shrubs have stems that are generally hard and woody, especially near the base. This woody stem provides support and durability. If we look at other examples like roses, they also have similar stem characteristics, hard and woody near the base, making them sturdy and resilient plants. Understanding the nature of these stems helps us appreciate how shrubs can withstand various environmental conditions and continue to thrive in our gardens. So, as we move forward, keep in mind that the size and stem characteristics of shrubs are key factors in how they grow and how we can best care for them. Today, let's talk about trees, which are an important part of our natural environment. Generally, trees are quite tall, usually more than 3 meters high, which makes them stand out in the landscape. Some common examples include the banyan and the mango tree. When we look at the nature of their stems, you'll notice they are typically hard, brown, and thick. The branches mostly grow on the upper part of the trunk, providing a broad canopy that gives shade and shelter. For instance, the peepal tree also shares these characteristics, with a sturdy, thick stem and branches spreading out high above the ground. Understanding these features helps us appreciate the strength and importance of trees in ecosystems. They're not just tall and strong, they also support many forms of life and contribute to the balance of nature around us. All right, now let's look at plants that are different from herbs, shrubs, and trees. These plants have weak stems that can't stand upright on their own and tend to spread out along the ground. We call these plants creepers. For example, strawberries and watermelons are classic examples of creepers. They grow horizontally across the ground rather than vertically upwards. This way of growing helps them cover more area and access nutrients and sunlight efficiently. Understanding these different types of plants enhances our overall knowledge of plant diversity and how they adapt to their environments. Creepers are especially interesting because their growth habit is quite different from the sturdier plants like trees and shrubs. Now let's talk about climbers. These are plants that have weak stems and can't stand upright on their own. Instead, they rely on support to grow upwards. Think of plants like bitter gourd and grapevine. They need something to climb on, such as trellises or fences. Climbers are important because they utilize vertical space and often produce abundant fruits or flowers. They fit into our overall theme by showing how plants adapt their growth habits to overcome structural limitations and thrive in their environment. Let's take a closer look at the plant system, starting with the root system. This is the underground part of the plant, and it includes the main root as well as the branched roots that spread out. The root system plays a crucial role in anchoring the plant securely in the soil, absorbing water and nutrients and storing energy. Moving above ground, we have the shoot system. This part includes everything you see above the ground, like the stem, leaves, buds, flowers, and fruits. The shoot system is responsible for supporting the plant, transporting nutrients and water, and enabling the plant to carry out photosynthesis and reproduction. Both systems work together seamlessly to ensure the plant's growth, health, and reproduction. Understanding these systems helps us appreciate how plants function as a whole, from their roots deep in the soil to their vibrant flowers and fruits above. Let's take a closer look at the root system of a plant. This is the underground part that often goes unnoticed, but it plays a crucial role in the plant's survival. The roots are responsible for absorbing water and essential minerals from the soil, which are vital for the plant's growth and development. They also serve to anchor the plant firmly in the ground, providing physical support so the plant can stand tall and withstand environmental forces. Additionally, roots help in binding soil particles together, which actually helps prevent soil erosion. So, in essence, the root system is fundamental not only for nourishing and supporting the plant, but also for maintaining healthy soil structure. This connects to our overall theme of understanding how plants interact with their environment and sustain life. Let's take a closer look at the types of root systems, starting with lateral roots. Lateral roots are secondary roots that branch out from the main root, essentially extending the root system horizontally. They play a crucial role in increasing the surface area of the root system, which enhances the plant's ability to absorb water and nutrients from the soil. Think of them as the plant's way of expanding its reach underground, helping it access resources more efficiently. Understanding lateral roots is important because they contribute significantly to the stability and health of the plant, especially as it grows. So, when we consider root systems overall, lateral roots are key players in supporting the plant's growth and survival in its environment. Now, let's look at how roots can be modified to serve as storage organs. For example, in turnips, radishes, and carrots, the roots have evolved to store nutrients and food. This adaptation allows the plant to survive harsh conditions and provides energy for growth and reproduction. The turnip has a swollen root that stores food underground, while the radish's taproot stores nutrients, making it edible and nutritious. Similarly, the carrot's root is thickened to accumulate sugars and nutrients. These modifications highlight the versatility of roots and their crucial role in plant survival. Understanding these adaptations helps us appreciate how plants optimize their structures for survival and food storage. Roots are often modified in plants to provide extra support, especially in cases where the plant needs stability or additional anchorage. For example, in maize plants, you'll notice these are called prop roots, and they grow downward from the stem to the ground, helping the plant stay upright and withstand strong winds. Similarly, in banyan trees, we see a different kind of support system with prop roots that descend from the branches and reach the ground, acting like natural pillars. These adaptations are fascinating because they show how plants modify their roots to suit their environment and structural needs. Overall, these specialized roots are crucial for the plant's stability and survival, highlighting the incredible ways plants adapt to their surroundings. Let's take a closer look at the shoot system, which is the part of the plant that is above the ground. This section is vital because it supports the plant and is responsible for photosynthesis, reproduction, and growth. Within the shoot system, you'll find several key components. First, the stem, which acts as the main support structure and transports nutrients and water throughout the plant. Then, we have the flower, which is essential for reproduction, producing seeds for the next generation. The internode is the segment of the stem between two nodes, and it's important because it determines the length of the plant's branches. Speaking of nodes, these are critical points on the stem where leaves, buds, or branches can grow. Leaves are the primary sites for photosynthesis, converting sunlight into energy for the plant. Buds are undeveloped or embryonic shoots that can develop into new leaves, flowers, or branches. Fruits, on the other hand, are mature ovaries that contain seeds, playing a crucial role in seed dispersal and plant reproduction. Understanding these components helps us grasp how the shoot system functions as a whole, supporting the plant's growth, reproduction, and overall health. All these parts work together seamlessly, highlighting the complexity and elegance of plant structures. Now let's talk about the stem, which is essentially the main body or stalk of a plant that holds everything together. Think of it as the plant's backbone, providing support for the rest of the plant. Its primary function is to keep the plant upright, allowing it to stand tall and reach for sunlight. But the stem does more than just support. It also bears the branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits, acting as the transportation highway for vital resources. It moves water and minerals from the roots up to the leaves, and it also transports food produced in the leaves down to other parts of the plant. So, in summary, the stem is crucial because it not only gives structure, but also ensures that all parts of the plant are connected and nourished. It's a key component in helping the plant grow strong and healthy, fitting perfectly into the overall picture of how plants thrive and survive. Now, let's take a look at the different types of leaf venation. First, we have reticulate venation, which is commonly found in plants with a taproot system. In these plants, the veins form a net-like pattern across the leaf, providing strong support and efficient transport of nutrients and water. This pattern is quite prominent and helps in the even distribution of resources throughout the leaf. On the other hand, we have parallel venation, which is typical in plants that have a fibrous root system. In these plants, the veins run parallel to each other from the base of the leaf to the tip, creating a more streamlined structure. This type of venation is often seen in monocots, like grasses and lilies, and it supports the plant's rapid growth and flexibility. Connecting these points to the overall theme, understanding the different venation patterns helps us identify and classify plants more effectively. It's fascinating how these structural differences are closely tied to the plant's root system and overall adaptation to their environment. Now, let's take a closer look at how stems have adapted to store food. For example, in the case of potatoes, the stem has become a specialized storage organ that holds nutrients and energy reserves. Similarly, ginger is another example where the underground stem, or rhizome, stores food that the plant can use for growth and development. And then we have sugarcane, which is essentially a tall, thick stem that stores large amounts of sugar. These modifications highlight how different plants have evolved their stems to serve as efficient storage units, supporting their survival and growth. This is a fascinating example of how plants adapt structurally to meet their needs, tying back to the overall theme of plant diversity and adaptation. Now, let's talk about how stems are modified to give support to plants. You see, stems aren't just simple structures. They can be adapted in various ways to help the plant survive and thrive. One fascinating example is the stem tendril. Tendrils are specialized, slender stems that coil around objects for support. They act like natural anchors, helping climbing plants attach to nearby structures or plants. This modification allows the plant to reach sunlight more effectively without investing too much energy into thick, supportive stems. So, in essence, these modified stems, like tendrils, are crucial adaptations for support, especially in climbing plants, and they highlight the incredible ways plants evolve to optimize their growth and stability. Now let's look at how stems are modified to make food. You see, in plants, the stem isn't just a support structure. It can also be adapted to produce food. For example, some stems have become storage organs, like the tubers of potatoes or the swollen stems of cassava. These modifications allow the plant to store nutrients and energy, which can be used during periods of scarcity. By transforming into these specialized structures, stems play a crucial role not only in support and transport, but also in food production and storage. This highlights the incredible versatility of plant stems and their importance in both the plant's survival and our food supply. Now let's take a closer look at the leaf, which is the thin and green part of the plant. This is a really important component because it plays a key role in the plant's survival. One of its main functions is to prepare food for the plant through a process called photosynthesis. This is where the leaf captures sunlight and uses it to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose, which is essentially the plant's food. Another critical function of the leaf involves the stomata, which are tiny openings on the surface of the leaf. These stomata help the plant regulate water and gas exchange. Specifically, they release water vapor from the plant into the air, a process known as transpiration. This not only helps cool the plant, but also aids in the movement of nutrients and water from the roots to other parts of the plant. So, in summary, the leaf isn't just a pretty green part. It's vital for food production and water regulation, which are essential for the plant's growth and health. This connects directly to the overall theme of how plants sustain themselves and adapt to their environment. Now, let's talk about how leaves are modified to give support. You might think of leaves just as photosynthesis organs, but in many plants, they take on additional roles. For example, some leaves are modified into stems, which help support the plant structure. Others develop into tendrils, which are specialized for climbing and anchoring the plant to other objects. Tendrils are really fascinating because they can coil around supports, providing stability without the need for thick, woody stems. This adaptation is especially common in climbing plants like peas or grapes. So essentially, these modifications allow plants to optimize space and support, making them more efficient in their environment. This ties into our overall theme of plant adaptation, showing how different parts can evolve to serve multiple purposes beyond their basic functions. Now, let's take a closer look at how leaves have adapted in some plants. Instead of typical broad leaves, many plants have their leaves modified into spines. These spines serve several important functions. Primarily, they help reduce water loss by minimizing the surface area exposed to the sun and wind, which is especially crucial in dry environments. Additionally, spines can provide protection against herbivores, making it more difficult for animals to eat the plant. So, these modifications are a great example of how plants adapt structurally to survive and thrive in their specific habitats. This idea of structural adaptation ties back to the overall theme of how plants evolve features to meet their environmental challenges. Now, let's take a closer look at the flowers, which are often the most attractive part of a flowering plant. Flowers play a crucial role in reproduction, attracting pollinators and facilitating the process of pollination. On the male side, we have the stamen, which is responsible for producing pollen. The stamen typically consists of a filament and an anther where the pollen is formed. On the female side, there's the carpel, which contains the ovules. The carpel includes the stigma, style, and ovary, and it's where fertilization occurs to develop seeds. Additionally, we see the pedicel here, which is the stalk that supports the flower, connecting it to the plant stem. Understanding these parts helps us appreciate how flowers function in the plant's reproductive cycle and how they attract pollinators to ensure the survival of the species. Now, let's take a closer look at the pedicel, which is an important part of the flower's structure. The pedicel is essentially the stalk that connects the flower to the main plant. It plays a vital role in supporting the flower and positioning it in a way that maximizes its chances of attracting pollinators. By elevating the flower, the pedicel helps ensure that pollinators like bees and butterflies can easily access the reproductive parts. This connection is key to successful pollination, which, as we've seen, is essential for plant reproduction and the production of fruits and seeds. So, in the broader context of pollination, the pedicel isn't just a simple stem. It's a crucial component that influences the flower's visibility and accessibility, ultimately supporting the plant's reproductive success.